All right, so welcome to my 5-star members. Some familiar faces, a couple of new faces in this class. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Allie. I am a doctor of physical therapy as well as a nationally certified Pilates instructor, and I've been practicing here in Boston for the last 5 years. I own my own practice here, and I've been teaching with the Community Online Academy since it started back in March. So what we have today is sort of my traditional back pain class. We'll just be using our body weight. No props, you just need your space to move around, a yoga mat, towel, or a blanket. And as we get moving during this class, I want you guys to pay attention to how your body's feeling. We're gonna look a lot today at side-to-side differences and starting to get in touch with whether your body is tight or weak, or maybe a combination of the two, so that you can start to tune into what you need to do to make your back feel better. But with that being said, everybody's bodies are a little bit different. Take the option that feels best for you as we work through a number of options in this class. That way you can leave feeling a little bit better than you came into this program. So we're gonna start lying down on our backs, finding a comfortable resting position. So you can choose to have your knees bent or your legs all the way extended, whatever position is comfortable for your body. And just allow yourself to melt down, taking a moment to get connected into how your body feels on the mat. Notice any spots of tension, any differences you feel from side to side. And know that there's really no right or wrong in how your body feels right now, just noticing it. And of course, as you notice how your body feels on the mat, you'll start to think a little bit about how your breath is moving through your body. So you can rest your hands down on the front of your rib cage so that you can start to feel your ribs open and expand with your inhale breath. And you can feel your ribs gently close with your exhale. Inhale to open up, feel that expansion. And exhale to feel the ribs drop down and together to close. Notice if maybe one side is a little bit more tricky to move. See if you can really find that wide opening, expansive breath and that gentle closure of your breath down and in. One more time here. Good. Now we're going to start by warming up with a couple of pelvic tilts. And a pelvic tilt is if you imagine that space underneath your low back, you're going to gently close that space and then open. Close the space under your low back and open. And I want this to be comfortable. I want it to be within your pain-free range of motion, which might start off a little bit stiff, even a little bit sore here. So just work within what's comfortable. See if as you do these gentle pelvic tilts, you can do so without pushing into your feet and without tightening your butt muscles. And that way that will bring the work a little bit more into some of your core muscles. And even if that makes that movement a little bit smaller. Good. Okay, we're gonna try about 4 more here. And 3, good. Last 2, one more time, and then settle somewhere in the middle. We're gonna move into some rotation next. So bring your knees together, feet together, arms rest down by your side, and allow your knees to gently rock from side to side. And we're using this as a gentle stretch, but also to start to notice any range of motion restrictions. So I want you guys to keep your knees together. That's what's going to bring the stretch into your lower back and not your hips. And we will look at your hips in just a moment. So as you do this side to side rock, keep it again in that pain-free range of motion. So notice if you go super far, that might start to become pinchy or sore. Keep it in that comfortable range. Hopefully as you move here, it starts to get a little bit bigger, but just notice maybe one side's a lot easier than the other. And as you do this side to side rocking, see if you can keep your shoulders down on your mat. So it's okay to lift the hips, but try and keep your shoulders down. Now we're gonna settle in the middle here and then separate our feet. I'm talking about as wide as a yoga mat if you have one, or a towel. So now we're gonna do that same thing, that side to side rocking. but this time we're getting the rotation more in our hips. So you can notice if maybe this feels much looser than what we just did, or maybe it's a lot tighter. This is our hip rotation compared to our back rotation that we just did. And you may also find, okay, one of my legs moves really easily, but the other one is a little bit trickier. Good. We'll try 3 more here. And 2 more. Last time, come right back in. Okay, so on the topic of hips, we're going to do a little bit of hip strengthening with our bridges. We're going to start with both legs, but I want to start to parse out which is our stronger leg. So we'll start by making sure you can tap your heels to your fingertips, ground your feet down into the mat, open your shoulders, press the back of your arms into the mat, and then start to lift and lower your hips. So gently lifting and lowering in and out of a bridge position, noticing if you feel any tension in your lower back. If you do, lift up, soften the front of your ribs, and tighten your butt muscles. Make sure that the work is actually in your glutes, and then go ahead and continue here. Good. We'll do about 4 more like this. You also have the option to just lift and hold. That's it. Last 2. Last time here, lift up, drop down, take a moment's pause. Now, one of my favorite ways to look at side-to-side differences is to look at a single leg bridge. But I find especially when people have back pain, a single leg bridge is quite advanced. So we're going to do a little modification of that here by lifting our left heel up and just leaving the left toes down. Now, most of your body weight should be in your right leg. We're going to do that same lift and lower here. So it's kind of a modified single leg bridge for our right leg. I want you to see if you can still feel your right glute working, or if maybe it feels much more wobbly or much more challenging here. Glue the full right foot onto the floor. So body weight is even between your big toe and your pinky toe and your heel. That's it. Try 3 more like this. Drop down, exhale, lift up for 2. And last time here, drop your hips down, drop your left heel down, lift your right heel up. We're going to try that same thing now with your left foot. So we start to lift and lower. I always feel stronger on this side, and maybe you guys are different. Maybe you're experiencing symmetry on both sides. That's awesome if you are. Just notice it. You can always check in with your hand to make sure you feel your glute or your butt muscle working here. Good. We'll try 3 more. 2 more. Last time here, and drop your hips down. Good. Okay, so we're going to go into the opposite now, which is work for our core. And our core supports us in almost everything we do to protect our back. So I want you to think about your rib cage and keeping the back of your ribs on the mat. That doesn't mean your whole lower back has to smush onto the mat. Really, the emphasis is on the back of your rib cage. So we'll keep our hands on our ribs so we can feel, and then bring your right leg and left leg to tabletop. Notice if right away your ribs lifted, bring them back down, hold it there. And then we're going to start to extend one leg out towards the center of the room at a time, keeping your head, neck, and shoulders down on the mat. And as you reach out, notice if maybe one side is harder to keep the ribs down. You can modify by pushing up a little bit higher, or challenge yourself by pressing down lower towards the floor. Good. Reach out, pull in. Exhale, reach, pull in. Exhale, reach, and then good. 4 more. And 3, that's it. Last 2. Last time, bend both knees in, give yourself a gentle hug, and rock side to side. From this setup, we're going to rock ourselves right on up to a seated position. So go ahead and roll yourself all the way up. We're going to keep feet down, knees bent, and go into a little bit more with that pelvic motion. So this is good, especially if you have soreness down near the SI joint and low back. Hands come behind the thighs, And start with your spine up tall. So you want to lift your heart tall, head is back, shoulders are down away from the ears. Imagine your pelvis or very low back like a bowl of water. You're going to tip some water out the back and come right back on up. Tip some water out the back and come right back up. So it's as though we're creating a little C shape in our lower back. If you feel really tight here, use your hands on the back of your thighs. That's there to give you a little bit of support. We rock back, restack, lift up. So very gently doing that same pelvic tilting motion in sitting, which can be helpful to visualize if you're sitting at your desk chair all day long. Good. 3 more times. And lift. And 2. Last time here, lift all the way up and take a rest. We're going to reach our hands back behind us now to do a little piriformis stretch. So this is a stretch for one of our glute muscles. So I'm going to take my left ankle on top of my right thigh. Right thigh. And then press your chest open. Try and find the flat back position we just did. Now, if this is too intense, walk your right foot away. If this does not feel intense enough, walk your right foot in closer, but just notice if your spine starts to round. You want to actually keep a tall, straight spine position. That's going to give you a better stretch here. And we're focusing on the piriformis a little bit today because it's going to be crucial to have good strength there when we go into some of the side planking movements later. So all of these sideways hip muscles and side core muscles play a big role in our lateral movements, in our twisting, and in our carrying of objects on only one side of the body. We'll take one big deep breath here, and then gently place your left foot down. We'll set the same thing up, bring your right ankle on top of your left thigh, and stack up tall. Again, you can walk your left foot a little bit farther away to stay tall or bring it in a little bit closer, whatever is comfortable for your body. And we'll just breathe, let your shoulders drop down away from your ears. As you hold this stretch, maybe you're able to creep your left foot in a little bit closer. This is also another opportunity to think about those side-to-side differences. And this is a mobility. This is a hip external rotation mobility. So maybe you find that one side feels much, much easier than the other. Good. We'll stay lifted and hold here for just about 10 more seconds. Shoulders down away from the ears. Get tall through the top of your head. And then go ahead and lower your foot down. We're going to flip on over to an all fours position. So in this setup, if you know you have sensitivity to kneeling, go ahead and roll up your mat a few times. You can even place a pillow underneath your knees. Hands are going to go underneath your shoulders. So if you have a lot of wrist sensitivity, you can actually lower down onto your forearms here if needed. So find that comfortable setup. We're going to start with a few cat-cows. So just allowing your head to drop down, ribs lifting up to the ceiling, and then dropping your rib cage down to the floor, lifting your heart, head, neck, and chest. Head dives down, lift up, let your head hang heavy, and drop your rib cage down, chest tall, shoulders down away from the ears. We draw the ribs up and in, head hangs down, and drop ribs down, chest open, head lifts. Try 2 more times just like this, very gentle movement, keeping this within your pain-free, comfortable range of motion. Good. And last set here, we'll let the head hang down and drop the spine down and then settle somewhere in the middle. Now we're going to take this into a little upper back stretch with some rotation. So lighten up on your right hand. You're going to open it up towards the ceiling and then thread your right hand underneath your left. Let your left elbow bend, let your head, neck, and shoulders rest down. Take a big inhale, open back up, follow that hand with your eyes and reach. Right hand threads underneath your left, let your head, neck, and shoulders rest down. And then open that back up. Now this is a stretch for our upper back. This upper back rotation is helpful to take stress away from our lower back. is often a spot of tightness. Good. We're going to try 2 more. And gently dive down, let the head, neck, and shoulders rest. Good. One more time here, guys. Big stretch up. We're going to hold it on the lower down. So let your head, neck, shoulders lower down. We'll pause, take a deep breath in here, expand the rib cage wide out to the side. And then come back into the center, and we'll go into our left side. So this time reaching up with our left hand. Thread your left hand underneath the right. Let your head, neck, and shoulders rest down. And then reverse, opening the left hand up to the ceiling and bending and threading the left arm underneath your right as you bend your elbow, letting your head rest down. We'll try a few more here. If you have a lot of shoulder sensitivity, you can make the shoulder motion a little bit more gentle. Like I said, this really is targeting your upper back. So you don't have to do a big reach with your arm if that doesn't feel good. You want to think of more just rotating your chest open and turning your chest down towards the floor. We'll try one more on this side here. Big opening, rotate down, let your chest lower, let your head rest down. Hold for a big breath in here and a big breath out. And then come all the way back to the center. From this position, we're going to walk our hands forward, coming right down onto our stomachs. So separate your feet slightly. Hands come underneath your shoulders. Bring your elbows in nice and close by your side and start to press on up to lift your upper back. So nice and gentle. If you feel comfortable, you can lift all the way into your low back. Keep this within your spine's comfortable range of motion. And this is a nice big spine extension. This flexibility into extension is really important for you to be able to set up with good form for most strengthening exercises. And so this is the opposite position of sitting, how most of us spend our days, especially with work from home. Pressing the hands down into the mat, curl the shoulders up, lift, soften and melt the spine down. We'll try 3 more here. And lower all the way back down. Good. 2 more times. Curl, press up. And gently lower down. 1 more here. Good. Hold. Take a big breath in. Drop your shoulders away from your ears and lower all the way down. We're going to roll onto our side. So I'll be on my left side if you guys want to follow along for cues. We're going to work on a little bit of that side hip strength. So bend your bottom left leg and then keep your right leg lifted at the height of your right hip. Before we move, I want you to think of reaching your right leg so far away from your body that it lifts your bottom rib off the mat. That should open the space between your rib and hip. You can take your top hand into that space. That space shouldn't change. That's your spine movement, right? So as we start to lift and lower that top leg, your spine shouldn't change because that means that the work is no longer in your hip, it's in your back. So I want you to keep that space open, even if it means you have to slow down your movement or make it a little bit smaller. That's it. Good. So teeny tiny lift and lower, lift up and lower. Good, guys. Can you reach out a little bit farther, a little bit longer? Go for 4 more. 3, 2, last time, lower it down. Good. So gently press yourself on up to a seated position, but stay seated on your left hip with your legs splayed off to the right. We're going to do a gentle mermaid here. So stacking your spine up tall, start to dive your arms up and over. And again, we're just here sort of noticing maybe how challenging that felt for our right hip. Now we're looking again at mobility. How flexible do we feel going in these sideways movement directions? And all of this is going to play a role for our side planking, which is coming up in just a moment. So we'll give that a little try, reaching the arms up tall overhead and finding a big long stretch, both for your shoulders and the side of your spine. Good. We'll try 2 more. And one more time here. And take a little rest. Okay. So we're going to look at a side plank. And I know side planks may be intimidating, especially if you have back pain, but it's an exercise a lot of us see in traditional exercise programs. And I think that it's also one of my favorites because it is the best thing for your butt to strengthen your shoulders, your core, your hips all at the same time. But that means that you have to use really good form and really good alignment. So we're going to practice that today. I'm going to have you guys do 2 planks, one of which is the modified version. And then if you'd like to progress, you can, but we'll all start with that modified setup. So I like to use the back edge of my mat as a way to help line up my spine straight. So I'm going to lower onto my left forearm and make sure that my left shoulder is right underneath my elbow. If it's too far away, it becomes a lot of shoulder work. It takes it away from the core. Then you're going to line up both knees with the back edge of your mat as well. So you're actually going to start off the mat just slightly. From this setup, go ahead and lift into your side plank. Now, often I see people lifted too high. You actually want your shoulder, hip, and knee all in one long line. Roll the top hip forward. Most people tend to roll back and open your shoulders. Check in with that elbow. You want to think of pushing your left elbow away from your body. I'm going to run up and take a quick peek as you hold here. Good. Paul, press both of your hips forward a little bit. Good. Robbie, same thing for you. Both of your hips forward. Janice, same thing for you. Good. Try for 3, 2, and 1. Take a little rest. What I meant by that hips forward, if you guys can see here, is that you're a little bit bent. I'm exaggerating in the front of the hips. You want to press the hips forward as though your whole body is flat up against a wall. Now, I'm going to give you guys the option here to try a full side plank if you would like. Same form cues apply. Okay, so left forearm down. The only difference here is that you're going to stagger your feet. And so your top leg goes in front, your bottom leg in the back. Pushing down into your feet, you can give it a try to lift up. You can also choose to do a second modified plank. So give this a shot, see how your body feels here to open the collarbones, stack the hips, tighten the legs, push your elbow away from your body. I'm going to come take a quick peek at form here so you guys can see how you feel. Good. Janice, that was wonderful. Nice, Robbie. Excellent. We'll hold for 3, 2, and 1, and then come all the way down. Take a rest. Nice job, guys. So I know those are not easy. We're going to now do the other side. I think they can be very revealing as to sort of side-to-side strength differences. So let's go ahead and find ourselves back down onto the mat on our right side of the body. So we'll start making a little pillow with our bicep. You're going to bend the right knee in towards your chest. Stretch the left leg out long. And again, stretch and reach that left foot farther away from your body to make that small space under your side rib. You should have space between your left rib and hip before you start to lift and lower your leg here. Good. Lifting and lowering. That's it. Very nice. Good. Can you reach that leg out a little bit farther? Make your movement slow and controlled enough to keep this space between the rib and hip totally still. That's it. Nice work here, guys. Believe it or not, the same muscle works as a stabilizer during your side plank. So if side planks are really, really hard, this is a good prep to get ready to find that support. 3 more. 2. Last time, lower down. Press yourself on up. We're going to be seated now on the right side hip, starting with the spine up nice and tall, opening up the arms, and we go into our mermaid side bends. So very gently allowing the spine to side bend. I like to imagine my spine maybe like an accordion that is opening and closing on both sides, and just adding that nice gentle reach of the arms overhead. You can always bend your elbows here if you need that extra support for your shoulders. Good. 4 more. That's it, and 3. Good, guys, last 2. And one more time here. Good. Okay, so we're gonna set up for that second side of our side planks in the modified version first. So this time, bring your right elbow down on the back edge of the mat underneath your right forearm and bring your knees back, okay? So you'll end up lifting your hips and sort of pressing them forward as though there's a wall right in front of you that you're trying to press your body flush up against the wall. One other reminder is that in this modified position, you don't have to squeeze the knees together. They can be a little bit apart. When you do the full version, you do want to hug the legs together. So in this modified setup, go ahead and lift. Again, most people tend to roll back, roll your hips forward, open the shoulders, and drop your hip down so that it's a shoulder, hip, knee line, straight right angle on your side. I'm gonna come take a peek. You guys all look much stronger on this side, so that's an interesting observation. Good. Paul, pull your head back just a tiny bit. Good. Awesome. Janice, hips forward just a hair. That looks great. We'll hold for 3, 2, and 1. Lower all the way down. Good. Okay, so now you guys have the option to do your second side plank like that, or trying the full side plank. And that full side plank is going to leave your left leg in front this time and your right leg in the back. So you're staggering your legs here. Reach your legs out long. This time, hugging the inner thighs together will actually help give you stability. If you're feeling a lot of work in your shoulder, think of pressing your elbow away from your body, like you're pushing it down into the mat. From here, we go ahead and lift up. Again, notice if you're overly hyped, drop the hips down a little bit and it actually gets a little harder. Can you roll that top hip forward, open your collarbones, hold that side plank, draw your front ribs in. Good, I'm gonna come take a quick peek here. Awesome modifications here, you guys look good. Very nice, we'll hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, come all the way down. Very gently press yourself on up to sitting. We're gonna rinse out both of those movements with a gentle child's pose. So you can kneel or separate your knees out to the side and just walk your hands forward. Allow your body to rest down. If you cannot, if you're uncomfortable kneeling, you can do the same thing in a cross-legged position. So allow your forehead to rest down, walk your hands forward, take 1 or 2 big, deep, expansive breaths wide out to the side in your rib cage. 1 more big breath there. And then carefully press yourself on up to a seat. Okay, so that concludes the movement part of our class. And what I hope you take from today is a little bit more data and information about what bothers your back and maybe what differences you have from side to side. So maybe you found you are more restricted in your mobility, but your strength was good. Or maybe you felt, okay, my mobility is getting better, but I'm definitely a lot weaker on one side than the other. One other interesting thing to note is that it's not always your weaker side that's the painful side. Sometimes I will see that you have one side that's much weaker, but it's the other side that hurts. And usually that's because you tend to then overuse the side that is stronger and a little bit more dominant in your movements. So you can take this all as information and data about how to sort of customize your own exercise programs to focus on the things that your body needs. And everyone's bodies are a little bit different. You're gonna find that these things even change with time, but they're good markers for you to keep track of and to sort of see how you progress and how you